Right, so in this workout session now, we're going to be going through 9 different exercises with the resistance band. So what we got here is like a medium strength resistance band, a big one. So really for this is the sort of equipment that you're going to be needing. Anything too strong or anything too light or anything too small is not really going to be appropriate. Now with this, the 9 exercises, we're going to be completing 15 reps of each exercise and pretty much just move from one to the next. You may take a rest period of anywhere between like 10 to maybe 30 seconds, depending on how long it takes you to get set up and some of the positions in which you need to get into. But the 9 exercises in which we'll be completing here are going to cover the full body, okay? So really listen to the exercise technique as we're going through everything. We're going to do this in real time with you. What I would suggest is doing this circuit at least 2 or 3 times to get the most out of it. So once we've completed the 9 exercises, you can just simply restart this video and go again. So the first exercise now is a squat. What you need to do here is put one foot on the band, pull the band over your head. So pull the band over, get the band onto your shoulders, and then you can then put the other foot inside of the band, and then still get yourself about shoulder width apart like you would do with a normal squat. So Pavla's now just going to turn sideways, so you can see that this here is just over the top of her, resting on her shoulders, and then just squat away like normal. Pushing the hips back, keeping the chin chest up, and we're going to go for 15 reps. So as you can see here now, all this is doing is adding that element of resistance at the top of the movement, and you can use your hands to balance it, whatever's good for you, but just keep this moving now as you would with a normal squat, and thrusting the hips through at the top, pushing the hips back and sitting down into the movement. So Pavla's going to get 5 more reps done there. Aim for 15 on every single exercise. Great. Now just to get yourself out safely, first of all take one foot out, take the band off from over your head, and then you're good to go. Now exercise 2, so that there first of all mainly training the quads. The next one now is going to be a glute and hamstring exercise. So this one's known as a good morning. In terms of the position of the band is exactly the same. So put your foot in again, get the band over your head safely, pop the other foot in. Now, Pavla's going to turn to the side again so I can show you this movement. The only difference is here now is that you're going to push backwards with the hips and try and keep the knees reasonably straight. So just a slight bend in the knee, push back with the hip and get a stretch coming all the way down the back of your hamstring and then thrust the hip back forwards. So it's very similar to that kettlebell swing movement. You're coming forward and then thrusting to use your glute and hamstring. So Pavla's going to go for 15 reps. So it's 2. Do this with real time with us. You should be moving at the same pace, ideally copying everything that we're doing right now. 3, 4, good. 5 and 6, perfect. Really focusing on the hips, so squeezing at the top of the movement, squeeze and then release down slowly. Try and keep the back nice and tight and just pushing yourself downwards into that bottom position by moving the hips back. You get lower by moving the hips, you don't get lower by turning up at the top of the body and the chest. If you try and come down from the chest, you're going to find that you just bend your back. So you want to be sliding your hips backwards and getting that stretch on the back of your legs. Good, right, 4 more from Pavla, then we're going to move on. Good, and the final 2. Perfect. Right, okay, moving on. So now exercise 3. This one here now is a banded deadlift. So we're going to be facing straight towards the camera again, just so we can really see what's going on. All you need to do here first of all is step inside of the band, but go quite wide, so wider than you normally would do with a deadlift, just so you can really get some tension on the band. You're going to find in this exercise you're quite strong. Now as you can see, Pavla's got the one part of the band on the floor, and she's got this part here. Now what she's going to do is drop the weaker part and pick up the one with a bit more tension, while letting her feet make it a bit easier for her. When she feels like there's tension there, we're going to bend down, so use the legs, get forward like you would in a normal deadlift, and then thrust up to the top. Keeping the arms locked out, there's no pulling going on with the arms. You're using your hips to bring the band up to the top of the movement. Good, so that's 3. We're going to do 10 this way, and then we're just going to turn for the final 5. But if you're in this position now, just keep yourself moving. We're just going to turn just so you can see what's going on. Right, 5 more reps, Pavla, then we'll turn around. As you can see, I come up to the top of the movement, thrusting the hips to really use the glute and hamstring, and then back down again. The chest is always up. Throughout the whole movement, the chest is never facing down. Right, good, so we'll turn there now. As you can see, you pull the tighter part of the band off the floor, leave the slacker bit where it is, get yourself in a good position where it feels reasonably comfortable, pushing the hips backwards and sinking down, and then thrusting from the hip again. Good. And again. Perfect. And 3 more reps. So remember, we're going for 15 of these, and then we're going to move on. Good, and the final 2. Perfect, good. So now when you're finished up, we're now going to move on to some seated rows. So with this one here, you want to use your feet and put the band around the bottom of your feet. So Pavla's going to do this from 2 angles. We'll do it like this, we'll do it from the side as well, but you can just keep moving if you're happy with the exercise. Get the band put around your feet. So there's 2 ways in which you can do this. Pavla's doubled it up, and this is going to make it a lot harder, okay? So try it, see if we can get reps here first. Cool, so Pavla's okay like that. I'm going to show you an alternative in a minute. So what she's done here is got the band doubled up so it's nice and thick like this, and then hold it onto each side and just wrapped it double-footed around her feet. Now she's going to pull the elbows, so there's an elbow movement and arching backwards, hold at the back of the movement and then row forwards. Perfect, and she's going to go from a side-on view as here as well, so we're just going to move, but if you're happy with the exercise, just keep yourself moving. So this here is coming from the elbow. Don't pull from the wrist, you're pulling from the elbow. It's an arching movement. Perfect, so 2 more. Okay, so if you need to make this easier for yourself, stay in exactly the same position, but just split the band in half and just put 1 band around your legs, and now hold on to this halfway down the band here and just leave the top bit slack, and you're just going to pull away exactly the same as what we've just done. But because there's only half the band rather than the full band, it will reduce the intensity and the amount of restriction when it comes to pulling. Exactly the same applies. Just remember, you want to fully extend the elbow, come all the way back, keep the elbows tucked in and squeeze the back at the last part of the movement. Okay, fantastic. Now we're going to move on. So next up now we've got push-ups. So here we can do this a couple ways. We're going to show you a version on your knees, but you can do this exactly the same even if you just did like a normal push-up. So what you're going to do here is just put the band around you, and then so there's half the band's in front, half the band's around your back. You're then going to get yourself into a normal push-up position and then put your hands on top of the band. And then get it just over shoulder width apart like you normally would. Now just push away as normal, okay? The only difference is there's part of the band around your back. So when you come down, as you come back up at the top of the movement, it's just going to add a little bit of resistance at the top. If you don't find there's much resistance there, just get your hands slightly wider. Good, and we're going to aim for 15 reps here again, so you can go through this with us in real time, so keep yourself moving, okay? Half the band's around your back, the other half's on the floor, and then you're just holding it in place with your hands just over shoulder width apart. Good, so that's 5, we're going to go for 10 more. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, good, 14, 15, and rest. Perfect. Okay, moving on. So we're almost there now. We are, so that's 5 exercises gone, we've got 4 to go. The next one now is a banded pull apart. So this one here is going to be a shoulder exercise, mainly rear delt, so the shoulder muscles behind you. What you want to do here is get your hands roughly towards the end of the band. The more you come in with this, the harder it's going to be. So my advice would be to get your hands pretty much towards the end of the band, maybe just slightly inwards by 4 or 5 centimeters. You're going to hold with your arms straight, and now you're going to pull the band outwards, but you're not going to bend the arms while doing this. You're going to rely on your shoulders to get your arms straight to the side and then straight back in front of you. Keep your back nice and tight throughout the movement, so squeeze your shoulder blades tight, and we're going to go for 15 reps again. Good, so Pavla's on 3, so go through with real time again, exactly the same, just follow us through with this. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, good, 6 more, we're doing well. 10, 11, good, and 4 more. 12, 13, 14, and the final one. Perfect. Okay, so now we're moving on to upright rows. So give yourself 10-15 seconds. What you now need to do is put your foot inside of the band. If you put both feet in there, it will make it harder. One foot will be slightly easier. So it's up to you. You're just going to add a bit more resistance to the band if both feet are inside. Now you're going to hold both hands on top of the band, like Pavla's doing here, and you're going to keep the back nice and tight, and you're going to pull up with your elbows as high as you can. So you're pulling with the wrist, but you want your elbows to be higher than the wrist at the top of the movement. As you can see here, Pavla's elbows are higher than the shoulder, and they're also higher than her wrist. Squeeze your back at the top of the movement and then release back down. We're going for 15 reps. Good. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Hold it at the top of every single rep. Just hold it at the top. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. So hold and then release slowly. 11 and 4 more reps, and we're going to be moving on. So keep going. You're doing well. Perfect. 3 more reps, and the final 2. Right, great. So take a rest. Now you're going to be in the same position. We're now going to move on to a bicep curl. So same again, you can put both feet inside of the band. It will make it harder. One foot would be slightly easier, but you're going to do both hands at the same time. So both arms in. Before you were holding onto the top, now you're just going to cup it underneath. Back tight, and the aim here is to not rotate, so the arm shouldn't be rocking. You're going to pull the wrist in towards the bicep and hold at the top, and then release nice and slowly on the way out. As you can see, there's barely any movement coming from Pavla's elbow up to her shoulder. The only part that's moving is from wrist to elbow. So hold and then release. I'm just going to get Pavla to turn so you can see the side on angle there as well. Keep this nice and strict, and just keep yourself moving. We're going to go for 15 reps. Hold and squeeze it at the top, and then release all the way out and fully extend the elbow, and then go again. So you're holding at the top, you're releasing slowly on the way down, and you're going slow on the way up. No rest at the bottom of the movement, just fully extend the arms and pull again, but do rest at the top. You want to squeeze that bicep really tight. Cool, so we're going to go for 6 more reps, and we're going to move on. So 1, 2, nice and slow. 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. All right, final one. We're now going to be adding in a tricep extension. So this one here is pretty tough to get into. You want to put one hand onto the band, and then you then want to pull it around your head, and then have both hands underneath. So Pavla's got one, now she's got the other one, and you're going to tuck both your hands underneath the band. I would use one foot with this again, like Pavla's done here, and now you're going to fully extend it over your head.
You do it.
So with this one here now, you want to come hold in, turn around, and then both hands underneath. I'll get backwards so you can see, and then it's full extension up and then down. And the side on angle here as well. Full extension down and then all the way up. If you find that this is too difficult because the band's already very tight from being trapped around your leg, what you can do is you can do this on your knees, or you could potentially put this around like a door frame or something instead. So around your knees it would just look like this, exactly the same. You just want to put it underneath. Obviously now me being lower to the floor, is the band's going to be easier for me to pull. Put it around my back and then just pull straight overhead. So fully extend the elbows at the top of the movement, then release all the way back down. And I'll just do that from a side angle as well. And finally, again, 15 reps. This is the last exercise. So there we have it. Once you've got 15 reps, take a rest. So just going back through them from the top, you now have a squat, resistance banded squat. You have a resistance banded good morning, which is going to train all the lower body muscles. You have a deadlift, which is also going to do the same as well. You then have a seated row, which is for the back. You then have push-ups, which is chest and arms. You then have a pull apart, which is for the shoulders and back. You have upright row, which is for the shoulders and back. You then have a bicep curl, which is for the biceps, the arms, and you have a tricep extension, which is for your triceps, the back of your arms. So that there's going to cover 9 exercises now, the full body. You would have just completed that with me. I want you to do this twice. So put the video back to the first exercise and follow this through with me again. Great job, let's get this completed.